$4.30 a gallon for regular gas in Portland right now. $4.15 a gallon in Bend. Some stations pushing $4.50 a gallon. Those are December 2025 prices. This is nothing compared to what is coming down the pipeline. Or actually, what is not coming down the pipeline. Oregon has 0 oil refineries. Not a single one in the entire state. Every drop of gasoline you pump into your car comes from somewhere else. 90% flows from Washington state. The rest gets trucked in from California and Utah. One single pipeline carries almost everything Oregon needs to keep running. The Olympic Pipeline. 400 miles of steel pipe from Seattle to Portland. That's it. That's Oregon's lifeline. When that pipeline breaks, and it does break, Oregon starts running out of gas. This is not some distant threat. It happened in November 2025. The pipeline shut down because of a leak near Everett, Washington. Oregon went into emergency mode because the state only keeps 10 to 15 days of fuel in storage. That's half what most states maintain. 2 weeks of gasoline for the entire state. After that, empty tanks everywhere. September 2025 showed how fragile this whole system really is. The Olympic Pipeline went down for 10 days. Not months, not weeks. 10 days. Oregon gas prices jumped 16 cents in a single week, the biggest spike anywhere in America. In Bend, prices jumped 34 cents in 7 days. They went from $3.98 to $4.32. People were calling in sick to work because they could not afford the commute. Mike Freese from the Oregon Fuels Association describes the infrastructure as tenuous. That is a polite way of saying it is hanging by a thread. One pipeline feeds an entire state, with no backup plan worth mentioning. When the Olympic Pipeline fails, Oregon scrambles for alternatives. Trucks start hauling gasoline from Washington and California. Trains get pressed into service. Barges float fuel down the Columbia River. Trucking fuel costs 3 times more than pipeline delivery. It takes hundreds of trucks to replace what one pipeline carries. Those trucks burn diesel to deliver gas, clogging highways, and creating more demand for the fuel they are hauling. It is insanity. The real problem goes back decades. Oregon never built refineries. Never even tried, really. While Texas was building 30 refineries and Louisiana was building 17, Oregon built 0. California managed to build 15 despite all their challenges. Washington squeezed in 5 refineries. Oregon? Nothing. Not one. Those 5 Washington refineries keep Oregon alive. Cherry Point processes 230,000 barrels daily. Anacortes, Ferndale, Tacoma, and Bellingham all send fuel south. But these refineries are old, expensive to maintain, and companies are looking for exits. Phillips 66 has already announced it is selling assets. Marathon is looking at its options. BP keeps downsizing operations. California just lost 20% of its refining capacity in the last year. Phillips 66 shut down their Los Angeles facility. 139,000 barrels per day are gone. Valero Benicia will close next year, taking another 145,000 barrels per day out of the system. These California refineries used to help Oregon during shortage situations. Not anymore. California is keeping every drop for themselves. If Washington loses 2 refineries, Oregon's fuel costs double overnight. If Washington loses 3 refineries, prices triple. If all 5 Washington refineries close or convert to other products, Oregon starts importing from Asia. That change means shipping times that take a month and a premium of $40 per barrel on top of regular prices. Gas at $10 a gallon becomes the new normal. School districts are already feeling the pressure. Salem-Keizer School District runs 600 buses every day. Their diesel contracts depend on steady pipeline delivery. When the pipeline fails, those contracts become worthless. They are forced into spot market purchases at double or triple the normal price. Millions of dollars that should go to education are burned up in fuel tanks. Portland International Airport nearly ran out of jet fuel during the November shutdown. Airlines began planning emergency fuel stops. Imagine flying from Portland to San Francisco, but stopping in Eugene for fuel. That is the reality Oregon faces. Tourism, business travel, and cargo flights were all disrupted because Oregon cannot secure steady fuel supplies. Rural Oregon might as well be on another planet when fuel runs short. Drive from Bend to Burns sometime. It is 130 miles, with only 2 gas stations in between. When the pipeline shuts down, those stations are empty within days. Eastern Oregon becomes unreachable. Ranchers cannot get diesel for equipment. Farms shut down operations. Whole communities are cut off. Interstate 84 serves as Oregon's main artery for goods and services. Food, medicine, Amazon packages all travel that highway. Truckers need diesel at regular intervals. When pipeline problems hit, truck stops run dry. The entire supply chain starts to break down. Grocery stores run out of food. Hospitals cannot get medical supplies. Everything depends on fuel that Oregon does not produce, cannot refine, and can barely store. The Kinder Morgan pipeline running from Portland to Eugene is supposed to be Oregon's backup plan. It moves 42,000 barrels daily. Oregon needs 500,000 barrels per day. That is like trying to fight a forest fire with a garden hose. It is not a backup. It is a joke. Washington refineries keep talking about converting to renewable diesel production. Sounds environmental and forward-thinking, right? Renewable diesel production yields half the volume of traditional refining. Half the supply means double the price, if you can find it at all. Oregon gets caught in the middle, with no alternatives. Cherry Point Refinery alone supplies 30% of Oregon's fuel. BP owns it, and they are openly discussing closure or conversion. When Cherry Point goes offline, Oregon loses almost a third of its fuel supply instantly. No warning, no transition period, just gone. Back in the 1970s, some investors actually tried to build a refinery in Oregon. The Portland area looked perfect with a deep water port, pipeline connections, and a growing market. Environmental groups organized massive opposition. Lawsuits piled up, and permitting became impossible. After spending millions of dollars and years of effort, the company walked away. Nobody's tried since. That was Oregon's one shot at energy independence. Blown. During winter storms, barges can't navigate the Columbia River safely. Spring flooding makes river transport impossible. Summer low water levels strand barges. Oregon's backup plan depends on perfect weather conditions that rarely exist. When you need emergency fuel most, barges become useless. Small independent gas stations keep disappearing across Oregon. They cannot survive the price volatility. During September's pipeline shutdown, 3 family-owned stations in Central Oregon went under. They could not afford wholesale prices during the shortage. They closed permanently. Now only corporate chains with deep pockets survive these disruptions. Electric vehicles were supposed to solve everything. 3%. That is Oregon's electric vehicle adoption rate. 3%. 97% of vehicles still need gasoline or diesel. The power grid already struggles every summer with brownouts and restrictions. Add 1 million electric vehicles all trying to charge during peak hours, and the result could be a complete system collapse. Trucking companies started avoiding Oregon routes. It is too risky when fuel supplies are uncertain. Drivers are getting stranded for days waiting for diesel. Loads are spoiling. Companies now route through California even though it costs more. At least California has predictable fuel availability. The Olympic pipeline itself is 60 years old. It is corroding and outdated, held together with patches and prayers. BP owns it and will not invest in major upgrades. It is not profitable enough, they say. They are basically waiting for it to fail permanently. When that happens, Oregon has no plan whatsoever. During fuel emergencies, gas stations implement purchase limits. 10-gallon maximums become common. Lines stretch for blocks. People wait hours for a few gallons. Tempers flare. Fights break out. Police get called constantly. This is what partial shortage looks like. Imagine complete shortage. Emergency services start rationing during pipeline problems. Ambulances respond only to life-threatening calls. Fire departments skip training exercises to save diesel. Police reduce patrols. The entire public safety system degrades because Oregon cannot maintain steady fuel supplies. Manufacturing businesses are leaving Oregon. They need reliable fuel for operations and transport. They cannot function with random shortages and price spikes. They are moving to states with actual refineries. They are taking jobs, tax revenue, and economic stability with them. Oregon is losing businesses because of fuel insecurity. Commercial fishing fleets sit idle when diesel runs out. Boats need massive amounts of fuel. When pipeline problems hit, marine fuel disappears first. Boats sit in port while fish migrate past. Restaurants lose suppliers. An entire industry collapses periodically because Oregon lacks basic fuel infrastructure. Farms cannot harvest without diesel for combines and trucks. Propane for grain drying disappears. Gasoline for transport vehicles runs out. Crops rot in fields during pipeline shutdowns. Oregon grows food it literally cannot harvest without importing fuel from other states. Price predictions for 2026 start at a $5 per gallon baseline. They rise to $6 during the summer driving season. They reach $8 if one refinery closes, and $10 if two close. These are not worst-case scenarios. They are probable scenarios based on current trends. The Ferndale refinery that Phillips 66 wants to sell provides Oregon's only backup supply during Olympic pipeline failures. If Ferndale closes, Oregon loses its last alternative, and the state becomes completely dependent on one aging pipeline with no redundancy. This is permanent deterioration, not a temporary crisis. More refineries are closing, not opening. Supply is shrinking, not growing. Prices are rising, not falling. Oregon built an entire state economy on fuel it does not produce, cannot refine, and barely stores. Every time you fill up your tank, realize that gasoline traveled hundreds of miles through one pipeline from refineries that might not exist next year. No backup plan exists. No alternatives are coming. No solutions are being built. $8 per gallon is not pessimistic. It is optimistic. $10 is realistic. $15 is possible. Empty pumps are probable. Oregon wanted clean energy, but got expensive energy that leads to no energy. The Olympic pipeline will fail again, whether tomorrow, next week, or next month. When it happens, Oregon stops functioning. No gas, no diesel, no economy. Just empty stations and stranded people hoping someone figures something out. This is Oregon's reality. 0 refineries, 1 pipeline, no backup, no plan, just hoping nothing goes wrong while everything goes wrong around them.